Reform can be accompanied only when attitudes are changed. Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. Our topic of discussion today focuses on reforms. Joining us this evening on the show are Thanura Dissanayake from the National People's Power. He's a member of parliament from the Kandy district. Also joining us tonight on the show is Dr. Mahim Mendis from the SJB, Dr. Kithsiri Manchanayake from the United National Party, Kris Balthazaar from the Sri Lanka Pudujana Peramuna, as well as attorney at law Nuwan Bopage from the People's Struggle Alliance. To pose questions from our panelists this evening, on to my immediate right is independent journalist Sirasa. You too can join in, you know the drill. Join in as far as the conversation is concerned. The number to send in your messages via WhatsApp is 076 656 5353. The number once again 076 656 5353. So let's get the ball rolling today with Thanura Dissanayake from the National People's Power. He's a member of parliament, as I said before, from the Kandy district. Now, Thanura, since of late, there is a lot of discussion about education reforms. We've seen the manner in which how even your Prime Minister has come somewhat to the limelight because of these reforms, and there are some contentious views going around in terms of what is going on as well. To make our audience a little bit more cognizant about what we are talking about, just take us through what are these reforms that the Education Ministry is talking about from your government?
Yeah, actually, the entire country needs a lot more changes in all the sectors, but the problem is we have to start with some better plan. So there are some more discussions in past few decades, and especially in past decade from 2019 about education reforms, but no one succeeded in to introduce the reforms. So the thing is, we are facing a lot of issues, problems and crises evolved in our country. So we think as a country we have to think about the challenges of the 21st century, but we are in 2025 now, so 21st century to beyond. So we have to create a good citizen, a valuable citizen, a citizen which can face the challenges of the future and the changing world. So that's why we think about reforms, because we need a citizen who thinks about much more than more broad aspects like peace, how to be a good citizen, and how to ensure the peace of the country, and a citizen with more attitudes and skilled person. So the most important field is education. That's why we need reforms in our education system.
So Thanura, there is talk about the history subject being scrapped. Now, this is something that has been spoken very vociferously by the opposition parties. How far is this claim true? Because all of us who are in the table today have done history as a subject, and it has really impacted our lives, because that is the way in which we know about the country's history. If you're looking at the future, they say, if yesterday was a challenge, today is a battle, tomorrow will be an incredible experience. That is revolving around the history of a country. Why is that the history subject is looked at being scrapped? What is the reason?
It's actually not scrapped. It's some kind of idea that generated in outside society. It's good. The discussion is good, but we have not removed or scrapped history. As you said, we all studied history at school, but I think we all studied history in a classroom as a very traditional way. So in these reforms, we are introducing history with more activities, not rather than just hearing and writing and reading, or not just only traditional way. All the students study history from grade 6 to 9, and also after that they can select. Only the thing is, we think about education, the value of a subject, if it finishes with an exam and write a paper or something like answering papers and get a result from exam. That's how the usual system analyzes about the importance of a subject. I think that is the question raised in society, because in future reforms, history is not a subject that we are going to face a written exam. History is there, we study it from 6 to 9 they are facing exam, but after that they can select history, but all the students from grade 6 to 11 they are studying history with much more activities, so no one left behind.
So I want to talk about this aspect, Thanura, because we know the manner in which how important the English language is now in the global scale. If you look at the history in 1971, when the then education minister tried to bring in English language once again to the forefront after it was scrapped by the SWRD Bandaranaike government, one of the parties that opposed this move was the JVP led by Rohani Vijayveera at that time. What are the thoughts of the NPP now with regard to introducing English as an essential subject and also change the curriculum to English language as you speak now?
You mean the priority is giving the language priority is given to English?
Yes.
It's there is a discussion about
because
that.
in the 1950s, almost all the students had to learn the English language, the subjects. So if you look at the level of communication at that time of that generation until the 1958 era was very good. But then SWRD Bandaranaike scrapped it when he came, saying the single only policy was brought in. However, his daughter and his son, they studied in London. They went on to become the head of state, the president at that, Shantika Bandaranaike went on to become the president of the country as well. But my question is, are you looking at this as an option now, moving forward?
Yeah, there are some discussions on that, but we think the Sinhala and Tamil is much more essential for Sri Lanka because that should be the most important two languages inside the Sri Lanka. But as you said, to go forward with the world, we can study English, but we are not in a position to convert the entire system to English medium or something like that.
No, but what is the thinking of your government? Because as I said before, in 1971, the JVP led by Rohani Vijayveera was against this move. Is it still the attitude of the NPP also about not pursuing on this path?
Everything depends on the situation. That was another era, 1971, and now we are living in 2025 in another era. So we can't just from 2025 we can't just think we have to go. We should have a broad aspect to analyze that decision on 1971. So the thing is, we think Sinhala and Tamil is more important to create a Sri Lankan. And even many countries, they are working with their own language. But the thing is, we are not producing or we are not neglecting the English as a tool. It's a tool, it's a language to open up with the world. But it doesn't, we at this moment, there are some discussions. We think the priority, the learning priority should be given to...
But if you look at, Thanura, just one final question before I move to Dr. Mendis. This language issue, if you look at the countries that are using these languages, example, let's take Japan for an example.
Yeah.
You can't go to Japan and study any other language. You have to start off studying Japanese and then pursue your education. If you go to China, it's the same thing that's applicable there as well. If you go to Russia, for an example, you have to study Russian before starting your education in any other language. But the difference is that these countries are very big in their economies. These countries talk about the top 10 economies in the world. But Sri Lanka is not like that. Sri Lanka is a small country and we need to adopt. If you look at the world's best spoken language, is Spanish. It's not English because of the fact that, Spanish has been so popularized across the world. And a lot of people think it's English. It's not English. But I want to try to understand, is it in the cards of the NPP when you speak about reforms to move to English at any given point?
Not at this point, but it is under consideration. But we think we should create a Sri Lankan citizen who able to speak and understand English.
Right. Thanks a lot, Thanura Dissanayake from the NPP. He's a member of parliament from the Canning district. I now move to Dr. Mahim Mendis from the SJB. Dr. Mendis, you are very well close to the education system in Sri Lanka. You also work as a lecturer at the Open University. You are the former media spokesperson of the Federation of University Lecturers Association as well. I want to understand what is the position of the SJB with regard to the current set of reforms that are being brought to the table by the Education Minister herself in the capacity of the Prime Minister of the country.
When it comes to reforms, what is fundamentally important is that the people should essentially know what the reform agenda is. There has to be essentially a discussion paper, what we call a white paper on education, Dawala Patrikawa. Without the people knowing what this is all about, being based on all types of information, as they say, on a PowerPoint presentation by the Ministry of Education, can we take what this government proposes seriously? We certainly need to know. One central deficiency, which is very dangerous on the part of this new government, is lack of transparency and accountability, like in the case of those agreements signed with the Indian government. We need to know what they mean by reforms. We are just responding to little bits and pieces of what the Prime Minister is talking about in various seminars in different places. That is one thing. And then the stakeholder involvement. Did they in any way consult people in the universities, the schools, the teachers, the headmasters, the principals? Did they do that? And also specialists in the field. They have not done that. We at least need to know who is behind the reforms. Well, without transparency, we cannot take anything seriously. Today, the leader of the opposition in parliament raised the importance, if tomorrow is going to be discussion on a very important matter connected with the present and the future generations of this country, the parliamentarians need to know what the document is all about. And that was raised by Mr. Sajid Premadasa with a sense of responsibility on behalf of the people. So that is that. And also we have major reservations. While we believe in reforms, meaningful reforms, as a party which has a social democratic Samaja Prajatantravadi agenda, we believe in equity, social justice, equality of 25 districts in 9 provinces. We need to know what type of arrangement this government has when they talk about these reforms in order to strengthen the physical and the human infrastructure of the people who are in education.
Yeah, Dr. Mendis, but don't you think the problem is with Sri Lanka? Because Sri Lanka does not have a policy framework in which that such reforms should be considered. Because if you look at how respective governments have changed policies based on their women fancy, these governments may stay for 5 years, these governments may stay for 10 years in power, but they are putting the students at risk in terms of their futures as well. Why isn't such reforms coming in as a white paper? Where is the system error as far as Sri Lanka is concerned? Because if you look at 1950s, when Sri Lanka was changed from a English-only culture to a single-only education system, it was just through the government. There was no involvement of the parliamentarians at that time either. So I just want to understand from you, why is it that the education system in Sri Lanka is on the hands of politicians and not truly coming in as a white paper for public debate?
We cannot really say that, because in the way the government, the current government, is addressing this all-important subject, to be fair by even our political opponents, take Mr. Wickramasinghe. When he was the Minister of Education, he came out in the 1980s with the Dawala Patrikawa. What did the Janata Vimukti Peramana do at that time? They went Pelapali. With all due respect to Mr. Wickramasinghe, I would say what they said. Ranil Guna Guna Guna, Gumpanata Gena Gena. This is the type of slogans that the Janata Vimukti Peramana used at that time. When Mr. Wickramasinghe duly brought a Dawala Patrikawa and told the people what type of reforms that they were envisaging, what they were expected to do. And also the United National Party in 1977. I'm serving the Open University of Sri Lanka. Open University of Sri Lanka was one of the key reformed, you see, is, in the reforms agenda. In the 1977 manifesto of the United National Party, it was a promise given in the manifesto to establish an open university based on distance open learning. The University Grants Commission was a promise given by the J.R. Jayawardena government and the J.R. Jayawardena manifesto. They did so by consulting the best possible expertise. I remember the contribution made by Professor Stanley Kalpage, who became the first chairman of the university, the newly established University Grants Commission. I think he was holding the dual position because of the seriousness of the reforms that were proposed. Also, he was secretary of the Ministry of Higher Education.
No, but if you look at the last few decades, Dr. Mendis, education has changed based on the women fancy of respective governments. Now, I recollect when we were in school, we used to have a subject called Jeevana Kusalata. And then 3 years down the line, they realized that this subject is not giving any way forward for students, and that was scrapped a few years later. But we had to undergo that subject as a compulsory subject in our schools for our O-level examination as well. But this was of no use for any, because there was home science for women. This particular subject was brought in for students in boys' schools, at whose decision no one knows. Why isn't it that predominantly over the years such reforms are being made with the consent of everyone on board? Like if you take a look at probably foreign universities, they don't have this problem.
Yes, I would admit one thing, that things have to be done with decorum and dignity with regard to reforms.
Special education reforms.
Education reforms, health reforms, environmental reforms, media reforms, all these reforms need an enlightened and a progressive approach. There's no doubt about that. And also sustainability. The commitment on the part of, is not governments coming and going and coming with a set of reforms, but there needs to be a multi-dimensional approach, different stakeholders brought in. It is not a political project, and that has to have inclusive, it's an inclusive project. They cannot do things without transparency. That is why, while we accept that reforms are needed, Honorable Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya is someone who worked with me in the Department of Social Studies. We were colleagues together in the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences. I'm surprised that a person who is expected to be an enlightened leader is coming out with reforms without a proper document, a legitimate document. Transparency and accountability is fundamental. Without transparency, that's why I said this government has got into a habitual practice. Vinodan Saklesa, habitual practice of coming into reforms and even signing agreements. Like I said, we still don't know. I remember Pubudu Jagoda was asking for information on the 10 odd agreements signed with the Indian government, and we know what happened. Concealing of information.
Right.
Tomorrow there's going to be a discussion, and today The leader of the opposition is asking, where is the document?
Thanks, Doctor. The point that what I'm trying to bring out is changes should not happen just based on the whim and fancy of respective governments.
Sure.
It has to be looked at progressively for the future prospects of our nation, who are the students. So that's the point that I'm trying to make. With whichever government is in power, they should not hold the students at ransom just to test and try.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that across developed nations when it comes to their education systems. Transparency is very important. So I want to now move to Dr. Kithsiri Manchanayake from the United National Party as well. So today we have a very learned panel because Dr. Kithsiri is also has a doctorate as well. So reforms will be very close to you as well, Dr. Kithsiri. So I'm trying to figure out what is the position of the United National Party, as we've been speaking about the first set of reforms after SWRD Bandaneke was brought forward by Ranil Wickremesinghe, as Dr. Mendis mentioned when he was the Minister of Education. What is the thinking of the United National Party in terms of these reforms that are going to be tabled for the students of the country without any sort of consultation?
Thank you, Shamil, for inviting me for this Face the Nation team, and I have to say that I have missed 3-4 occasions due to some reason, so I'm here today. Yes, when you come to education reforms, I think after independence, CWW Kannangara done a revolutionary Mahavidyalaya concept. After that, then Ranil Wickremesinghe, as Dr. Mahim correctly mentioned, that early 80s, he wrote all that white paper. And I can remember as a schoolboy, so they have taken out from us from the schools. All the university students came and at that time JVP, the Rohana Vijayara led JVP team came out and we taken us all from the schools. We were on the road for days and days because of this. This education reform should be a constant thing. It's not for periodically we have to do that. The thing is now, since 1948, I think in early 80s, their first reform, I think they were trying to introduce. But since then, we couldn't implement that. So then, since then, I have not seen any reform. There are ad hoc ones, as you correctly mentioned, some subject get in and try out and move out, right? So that is not the scenario. Now, say there's a talk going on about the history. And I heard that opposition leader is mentioning in the parliament today, IT also going to be a elective subject, optional subject. But just imagine in American syllabus, there's a history of 200 plus years. Still, the bachelor's degree, first year, they have to learn American history. That's compulsory. That's a compulsory subject, right?
And we have 2,500 years of history.
We have 2,500 old years history. Lot to talk. Right, lot to talk. And about not only that, if in future generation is not known the history, one of the main income is tourism. To explain one of the tourists, so we are what is Sigriya, who's Dutugamunu, who's this is how are we going to survive? I mean, just a very basic thing I am taking out. So, and the other thing, so the world is IT driven, AI driven world now. So IT has to be compulsory subject for grade 1 to grade 12. Because we are trying to make money, we are trying to get foreign earnings from those are the areas, right? That's why I'm telling you. We need periodically reforms. It's not short because this country this world is, moving very fast. Changes are happening every minute, especially in IT, right? Every 3 months probably you may need some reform for the syllabuses, right? Whatever, you must be knowing better than like me. So if it is something in IT, every 6 months something else. When you're doing after 6 months, something else is coming. The coding is coming in a different style.
Yeah, but don't you think that is what the Prime Minister is trying to achieve? Because, because we all know we can't have subjects which are archaic in our education system as well. And students have to get the opportunity to learn what they want to learn, and they have to discard what they don't want to, because nothing should be forced down the throat of the new student population in the country. That's the thinking of the present government.
We get
as
example like this now.
Even in the US, for an example, students can change their
major and minor and major can do that. Business
anytime.
in minor, IT in major, in other way around, it's possible. That's fine. But what I'm trying to say is, now if he is going to scrap IT or it's going to be optional, but IT is required for anybody. I mean, not only for a doctor or engineer, or everybody should be aware of it. So therefore, you have to have that some sort of, at least to up to grade 10, it will be compulsory, and then you can select whatever you want. So those reform is very good. I mean, probably the Prime Minister is doing it with, I don't know whose advisors and who's are the behind it, but history and IT is going to be the important.
But don't you think it's at least now there's some focus on the education system in the country, because there was no focus on the education system for the last 10 years. Since my
So why don't you go little beyond 10 years? In early 80s, reforms were tried to introduce from the former Prime Minister.
But at least now, isn't it better to bring those? Now, I remember when we were going to school, we used to carry huge textbooks. Our bags were more heavier than us. You know, it was around 35 to 20 kilos. It's still the same. So don't you think that this system has to change?
Of course.
If you go to the US or if you go to London, it's completely different. Students don't even carry a textbook. It's always about just carrying one book for the entire syllabus.
Can you remember during Yahapalana government, the Ranil Wickramasinghe is proposed to give tabs instead of textbooks, to give a tab to each and every student.
But they were trying to rob, no?
That's a separate story. I will discuss it in a different forum, the robbing part of it. Now I'm talking about the reform, right? In reform-wise, so that was one of the initiatives.
But the problem is, Kithsiri,
then a tender procedure, probably robbing, that is something else that we do. Actually, I don't know it because I'm not.
The problem is, Kithsiri, every minister who comes in wants to make a buck through a system, through a flawed system, and even this process was completely flawed. This tender process.
That's why I'm trying to say that. That's why I say robbing part. There are so many robbers. Some are in the jail. Some are about to go. There are so many things. Some people are in pipeline.
Not from your party.
No, not in my party. Some are in pipeline. But I am trying to say is some initiative, right? So in the early 80s also, there's nothing robbing. There was an initiative. Reform brought it. So, but that time, if they have allowed that reform at that time, we are in a much more better time now. How many years now? It is around 40 years, right? So that is the issue. Now, anyway, I'm so happy NPP government and the leading from the Prime Minister try to get reform, and even school level to university level and all the education system, vocational education, everything. You have to have it. Otherwise, there's no way out for us. But it has to be in a proper way. But we are not a party going to criticize for each and everything without knowing we are asking tell us the reforms. So then we'll discuss on the table, right? Then we can suggest these are the reforms needed. These are also you can reconsider. So likewise, it has come to an open. Anyway, I heard that today the Parliament Prime Minister Honorable Bimal Ratnayake saying that this is for a discussion only. We are going to implement in next year. That's fine. So let it come, give not only for the Parliament, give it to all the other people whom into education, interest in this country's education. We also can contribute to that. So whatever we know, because we are basically, we have also studied in, local schools, local campuses. Then we have moved into foreign universities. So we have the blended experience on all those things. So we can, I'm not talking about me. So many professionals are available here.
Right.
So we can contribute. So come up and come to open forum discussion, so we are there.
Right. Thanks, Dr. Kithsiri Manchanayake from the United National Party. I now move my attention towards Kris Balthazaar from the Sri Lanka Pulajana Peramana. Kris, how important do you think education reforms are? When you look at the corruption that has taken place, which is so rampant in the country over the last 20 years or so, how important is it for education reforms to come into play, at least now?
Well, I think it's a very good thing to happen. It's a timely requirement, and this thing should definitely happen. But Shamir, moving on to something that we spoke about with regard to the scrapping of history. I'm not saying that, you know, it's still it's still in talking terms. For A-levels, for example, we study Greek and Roman civilization. It's a subject. So
that's because you were doing arts.
So yeah, so it's
So you select it.
You select it, but it's still there. So we are learning Greek and Roman civilization.
So here also, just to give some clarity, they don't want to scrap it like that. They just want to make sure that the option is available for students
to select. The problem is, Shamir, here is about the clarity, about the transparency on what exactly these reforms are going to come out.
So now, example, if an A-level student who's doing maths, you don't put down his throat that he has to learn history. That doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Because you did, probably it was easy at that time, because usually, Kris, what happens is when you're an A-level student, you try to select the easiest subjects, so your easiest score goes up. I don't think you selected it because of those reasons.
I never said that I did. I just told you as an example
so I'm just
that
trying
these
to
are optional subjects.
Yeah, it is
and
an
as Kithsiri also mentioned, you know, IT is a timely subject. Now, taking IT into consideration in the modern day, it should be more focused on AI. You know, AI-driven based IT. So
no, but the question
these reforms, yes, these things have to happen. These things need to happen. But then the people who implement this, the governing party that wants to bring this in, politically they should reform as well. Don't forget that the teachers' unions, led by certain factions, members of parliament even now, who have been in the teaching sector, who have obtained salaries for more than 20 years, have not even gone to a school. You can't forget the strikes that they caused where children were left back at home, where there was no teachers coming to school. So bringing reforms, yes, but politically, are you ready to correct where you made mistakes? Don't forget, I don't know, Shamir, during your time maybe it would have happened, there was more than 600 schools that were shut down during the insurgency. More than 200 schools burnt because they were polling stations. And because it gave the ideology of the existing government. So reforming should actually happen, because these are the main activists who come out from the blue and tell us that, you know, we need to bring these reforms. Definitely, yes. There are some very good people with a lot of hard mindset within the existing government. But like that, you get those tail eggs that are still there. And where the government stands, is the president also in line with the Prime Minister's decision? For example, we saw recently this girl, Dilshi Amshika, who committed suicide on the 29th of April over sexual harassment. There were allegations that one of those teachers was associated with the government, but was later on granted bail. There were allegations. I'm not saying that he was accused of. So these things have to be focused and corrected immediately, more than, you know, or be transparent about what you're doing. Because at the moment there is zero transparency in any activity that the government is doing. So these things have to be addressed.
So let's talk about the time in which, Kris, the SLPP government was ruling from 2005 to 2015.
From 2005
tell me what sort of reforms was brought?
To expand the IT sector, because Mahinda Rajapaksa, His Excellency Mahinda Rajapaksa during that time saw that. He brought in the Mahinda Vidyagara.
How much of corruption took place there?
That is allegations. Na? Okay, if there was corruptions that took place, Shamir, that's what we are saying. The flow is open. Even yesterday in Parliament, we saw Honorable Namal Rajapaksa say about to the government, you all have, for the last 15 years, you all have been talking about the same thing repeatedly. Now the government is yours. Why not take action on it?
No, but they are, no? Indictments are being issued. And
so, right.
Now, those is at least no indictments. Now, example, if Yosh Rajapaksa's case, at least now fresh indictments are being issued. We saw Kelina Bukwella's case, fresh indictments are being issued. When you look at the theft that was committed during those times, especially between 2005 and 2015, it's really...
Theft, well, you are innocent until proven guilty, Shamir. So, in the context of the law...
Based on the allegations that have been leveled,
based on the allegations,
goes down
you're
spine
innocent,
of anyone.
According to the law of Sri Lanka, you're innocent until proven guilty. So, until that happens, let's not point fingers. Okay? There's so many allegations that we can point out to the existing government. Okay, we said we'll give them the time, but now it's been enough. We've been waiting. So how much more time do we have to wait?
An example, Kris, your government was in power between 2005 and 2015. That is 10 years. Tell me what sort of education reforms that you all have been able to bring in concretely.
So basically,
Now today the Mahim labs are closed down.
Well, you have to. There was the name Mahim was taken off as well. The name Mahim was taken off because anything with Ma during the other governments was scrapped.
But why do you want to bring something with Ma? Why do you want to bring something with Ma?
Anything that has
Now,
Mahinda, anything that had to do with a Lotus Tower.
Hamad Port, it's Mahinda Rajapaksa International Airport. Why?
You look at the Kithsiri airport then.
Why are these politicians like this?
That's political ideology. That's how you portray the success of what you have done.
The only thing politicians have not named after them are toilets.
That also happened recently. We saw the government member lay a foundation stone to a toilet and also to a second story building which was run by the previous government. They went and laid another foundation stone. So who are you laughing at now?
I don't know, you tell me.
That's what I'm asking you, because on the pretext of what's been said, would you, Shamir, if you have a two-story house, when you're building your first ground floor, you go and lay a foundation stone. When you're building a second floor also, would you go and lay a foundation stone on that? So that's what we saw recently.
Right. Thanks a lot, Kris Balthazaar from the Sri Lanka Pujana Peramana. The only thing that we wouldn't do is, Kris, we wouldn't take someone else's money and build our own house. No, anyway, you can take it in any way you want, but I'm just telling you, we wouldn't do that. If you look at the amount of money that is amassed by these political parties and their sons and all that, it's crazy.
What's the richest part in the country at the moment, Shamir?
I don't know.
You go through that and
that is because you're saying the JVP.
What?
That is because the accounts are audited and put out. If you look at parties like the SLPP and the UNP and the SJB, which also has a lot of money, it will be just crazy, no?
We'll come to that.
Right. I now move my attention towards Attorney at Law Nuwan Bopage from the People's Struggle Alliance. Nuwan, with regard to these education reforms, now I know you came learning from the free education system in Sri Lanka. I just want to understand, how important are education reforms given the current context in the country? What is your opinion?
Yeah, of course, essentially we need reforms, especially the sectors like education. But here now, even today, our dialogue is totally focused on these reforms. Now, there are 4 political parties here. I think UMP, OSJB and SLPP need not to astonish about these reforms, because these reforms also emanating out of Dawala Patrika in 1980s. Then thereafter Tara Herald report. Then subsequently Jayatilaka report. Then recently, I don't know, this SLPP, the representative knows, this proposed reforms of NPP totally based on Upaliseder report of Gotabaya Rajapaksa's time. Now it's a completely to the letter that based on that report only, NPP now going to bring these reforms. So what is the objective? Now actually we firmly believe NPP has some sort of a progressive background. Actually people's aspirations also completely different than other political parties. They would have bring more actually progressive reforms for education. But these reforms are concerned nothing. Actually, what is the prime objective now? Even now this education is concerned, it's hailing from now even 5,000 years ago, how the Socrates interpret this education. He said education is the kindling of a flame. It's not the kind of filling a vessel. That is what he said. So what is the fundamental of education? How to actually build up a person with actual rational thinking, at the same time how to discipline, and at the same time personality, how to build the personality, ethics. So education is kind of thing, collective thing like this. So it should not be market-based economy. From Dhawalapatrikawa to up to now, these reforms, they totally based on market. How to build a person to be exploited by this system. That is the all these reforms are concerned, that is the objective of that.
Yeah, but
that is not the objective of the education.
Yeah, but Nuwan, just tell me an example, because now we saw Kithsiri saying how IT has to be brought in as an essential subject from grade 1 to grade 10, and then the option could be available for students to decide what they want. And we also know, we should be aware that students will not know what subjects to choose unless otherwise they are told. At least from grade 1 to 5, there has to be a set of curriculum that they have to go through, and after grade 6, it can change. What's the opinion of the people struggling?
I totally agree. The modernization or bringing modern subjects, essentially you should do. Now let's go to the Scandinavian countries. So these countries are well developed. IT sector is well developed, but even up to grade 7, they are not teaching IT or anything. They are trained how to build up the personality, rational thinking. So they know, even those are capitalist countries, what they follow certain things that during the Soviet era, how they build up their education system. So how do you change the thinking pattern, personality? Those are the things of the education, fundamental elements of education. Now here, even the objective of these reforms are concerned, they have given prominence to build a person who can match for this market economy. So that market can exploit, a person who market can very easily exploit. And these reforms are concerned, I think who might know this, totally based on Asian Development Bank's agenda. So this is nothing new, the same thing, but we believe NPP could bring more radical changes to the education. That's why we are demanding. But these reforms are concerned totally based on Upaliseda report of Gotabaya period, and these are focused on Asian Development Bank thing, and policy is totally based on market orientation. At the same time, I agree with the other panelists, but they said, where's the transparency? There's no consultative process with stakeholders. So nothing. There's no concept paper. So at least if they can come up with a concept paper and have a consultative process, at least NPP should do that. So what we are saying, as a political party, we have our own view about the education. So education, they are to build a complete person with there must be a cohesive, at the same time, the collectively how to build the rational thinking, and at the same time the personality of a person. So everything is included in education. So you can't just deviate from that. So what we are demanding, first there must be a consultative process. At the same time there must be a concept paper. At the same time, these reforms should not focus on this market economy. So IT sector, of course, these things should be bring as subjects. There's no dissenting idea about that. But the education reform is a broad thing.
Yeah, but Nuwan, if you look at these reforms, let's take a look at Sri Lanka for an example. We used to be a coding hub for most of the big countries. I can give you a classic example. The London Stock Exchange software was developed in Sri Lanka. If you look at Virtusa, if you look at WSO2, the amount of work that they have done is tremendous. But we are now losing the grip because of the 42 plus applications that are there for coding for children. I don't think even Sri Lankan students know these applications, how to go to these applications, access these applications, because we are not there. So where Kithsiri said about IT really comes into play, because AI is going to overtake all this. A lot of people think ChatGPT is only about one aspect of things. It's not. It's a very broad-based platform. So don't you think these changes have to be driven based on the market economy?
Of course not.
If you're not basing on the market economy, what are you teaching? Absolutely, it's going to be null and void.
We should
5
not
to 10 years
undermine.
from now.
Actually, here there are lecturers in universities. Of course, our university, the children are very talented. So there are a lot of innovations. But what we are lack of? Now, even though NPP is suggesting this kind of reforms, still we are allocating 1.86 from the budget percentage. So how you implement these reforms? Now, as you said, our students are talented, but universities have not been upgraded. Why? No allocation. That is what we are lack of. Otherwise,
to his point, you are very correctly said. Not only that, not universities are bad, but even the university lecturers, we have to send them overseas for train them and take them. There's no funding or some system.
We'll come back to you.
because for last 2-3 decades, actually, even without the intervention of the government,
Right.
our students, university lecturers, they did massive job for the upliftment of education. That is there. But when it comes to a reform policy, it should be a broad thing.
Right.
It should be a broad thing, but you can't bring it ad hoc manner.
Right. We will talk about all this, Nuwan, as the show goes along. Share, you are the only one who's onto my left, or I can't see anyone on the left, only onto my right.
I'll start.
I'm glad with you now.
I'll start with Thanura. I mean, there has been a lot of criticism about consultative process, transparency, and the white paper. What's the model you followed? What's the model government followed? I mean, I think Nuwan spoke about this the education system in the Scandinavian countries, especially a country like Finland, right? I think that's where I think the best education system is, because you don't have exams until grade 5, and then they identify the talent of the students, and then they channel them to the stream they are talented in, right? Now, was there any kind of model you followed, a country or a system you followed to come up with these reforms, Thanura?
It's not like that actually. We have to make a Sri Lankan model for our education system because if you think about Scandinavian country or any other country, they have their reasons to develop that kind of education system in their countries. Each and every country got different education systems, but finally their education is successful. If you think about 2 different countries, they may use different education models, but at the final result is okay. So that's why all of the people are taking examples from different countries other than which has a good education system
So
other than us.
one of the issues, Thanura, that was brought in at this point, I just want to piggyback on what Shihar said. Why wasn't it brought in as a white paper? Because we always talk about this, and the JVP at that time, the NPP subsequently, always presses on why not reforms are brought in as white papers. And you all are doing the exact opposite now. Is it because you all have 159 members in parliament?
Yeah, I think it's good to have this discussion. The discussion opened because we introduced, we said the public that we are going to introduce the reforms, and the line is like this. Then the initial discussions are started inside the parliament for the parliamentarians and with some other related fields. And
no, but is it true? Is it true that this is the same reform set of reforms that are brought forward by the Gotabaya Rajapaksa administration?
Not the same. So you can't. We can't.
One just said it's word to
it's
word.
like this. It's like this. We are running a government now. So there are institutions for all of the things. No matter which government is held in the political authority of the country, these institutions are involved with ongoing projects like education reforms or something like that. So by considering past 10 years or something like that, what education, National Institute of Education and all those relevant areas, then no one can say that it is not discussed. These reforms also had discussed with a lot of stakeholders in the country. So what we are going to do is, you all know and we all accept that we can't just pop out some kind of education reform within 2 or 3 months. What we did is, we took the most important things, and with the government ambition and to prepare the children to the next generation, we discussed further and we enriched the ongoing reforms plan, and we are going to introduce a national education plan, not just a curriculum changes or something like that. So there might be some inspirations from another country or something like that.
Yeah,
It's not a,
But Thanura, what was the rationale behind making both history and what's the other subject, the aesthetic education, optional or elective? What was the rationale behind
yeah.
it? I mean, that's what everybody is criticizing now.
It's not
2,500 years of
scrapped
history.
out. It's not scrapped out totally. We have reduced the subjects, number of subjects for O level for the examination. You have to face 5 subjects, then other 2 is selective, and we have introduced for different areas like STEM and some other areas. It's not scrapped out. All the students in from grade 6 to 9 study these things. Only the evaluation method will be changed. That's the thing. So it's not. We should not mislead the people. All those, even IT is inside. In from grade 6 to
No, maybe
10,
we must be
school-based
we might be
point
missing some
system is
points
there.
here because we don't know actually we don't know.
That's
the full
why I
picture.
said
Yeah,
the
problem is
discussion
it's-
should be
Yeah,
there.
but the problem is, as Dr. Mendis said, there is no policy document. There is no white paper
Yeah.
for us to even read and decide as to what's going on.
Yeah, because this is in some kind of initial stage. We are going to introduce the reforms in 2026 for the grade 1 and grade 6 only. As you said, we all know the drawbacks in our country. We need more budget. We need more funds, and we need more infrastructure.
Nuwan,
yeah.
are you satisfied with Thanura's answer? He's saying that this is not the Gotabaya Rajapaksa administration policy document, but it's the policy framework that was brought in by the bureaucrats. As a result of that, they are just doing the implementation.
Yeah, problem is even Thanura doesn't have a copy of this policy document. What we also grabbed from the statement of the minister. So those statement, when we clearly analyze, nothing, the same thing that Upali said, the report of Gotabaya Rajapaksa. That's what I say.
The act is not yet in the order book, no. So we will finalize the policy.
But it comes to the point,
Yeah.
why isn't there a white paper? Now, Dr. Mendis said,
So
why can't
it's
you
very
bring it
traditional
forward?
question. Why do we can't just open a discussion on education reforms without thinking about politics? Because it's more
Because when that
more
happens,
beyond the politics.
when that happens, now the problem is, Thanura,
Yeah.
you all have 159 members in parliament. You all can bring whatever you want, and you can pass whatever you want.
That's what I
So
say.
that is the fear that
That's what-
others have on this table.
Yeah.
That you all can bring in
Thanura,
whatever you
you-
want.
No. That's
no,
why
you-
I said we can do that, no.
You were
But we
speaking
are
about
not-
funding,
not-
right? You were speaking about
one
funding for this
aspect of
reform,
funding
right?
also, because
so as
infrastructure is
as
also
Nuwan
should be
said,
there.
is the ADB funding for this reform?
It's not just like that. I don't know whether it should be discussed, but it's not like that. We have to allocate funds from our budget, but it's a little bit some far away topic to discuss. It is not like that. We are reforming our education system because we need it. Sri Lanka need it much more, far beyond than politics. So I think it's good to have this discussion open. So many can contribute this, and we can.
Actually, government doesn't start this dialogue because
Yeah.
the public and the actually teachers and lecturers only.
That's
started
how
this
things happen.
dialogue. No, what the thing is,
Yeah.
according to the minister's statement, policy has already been drafted. But she said certain things regarding grade-based system and at the same credit system and modules. So these things are, in terms of the statement, it is clear everything has been done. Everything has been done,
not
even
like-
though it's not as a policy paper. If you are saying no, we just started dialogue, we have to develop
No, no.
it. Of course, we can
That's
accept,
what
but
I
that is not
said.
reflect
That's
from
what
the.
I said. No one can make a national education policy framework within 6 months. If it should not do like that.
Yeah,
if it's-
usually, no,
So
Thanura.
it's a technical thing.
Yeah.
So the technical things were on process for long.
True. I'm confused on this. Now you want to introduce these reforms in 2026.
Yeah.
If you want to introduce this in 2026,
By phase.
Yeah, you should have prepared, because now the implementation should be done by the teachers.
Yeah.
So teachers should be trained at least for 3 or 4 years.
Of course.
Are we ready with that?
That's why we are introducing it with grade 1 and 6, and we have a plan to do that. So we should do that. Otherwise, we can't make these reforms effective. That is the concern. So when we
so far the teachers are not ready, right?
No, even it's not like that. So we can't prepare the teachers before we introduce the reforms. There are some instructions there.
But when you have the reforms in hand,
yeah,
you should have a plan to
it's
train
in 2026 we are
26, but
yeah.
it's only 6 months.
Yeah. Of course, we have trained teachers.
It's 5 months, right?
So like 5 months. So we are expecting to introduce this in 2026 for grade 1 and 6. So in order to do that, all the other necessary things will come up with that.
So I want to ask the Thanura a question before I move to the others on these educational reforms and all that. One of the very contentious issues that came about in February this year was after the appointment of Donald Trump about LGBTQ rights being brought in the form of US aid funding. Now, Nuwan spoke about the ADB involvement, allegedly, not yet concretely said, about these education reforms as well. I'm trying to figure out, is there any hand behind such reforms being brought to the table?
No, it's like that. It's not like that. Many organizations
this has been
it's not
stated
directly.
properly.
No one is
the
directly
USA
handling this.
Yeah.
We are doing this because for the country and the government needs. So we will make
not because of anyone else, right?
No. Otherwise, we don't need to do that.
A lot of things that right now what's happening is based on the IMF regulations or something of that sort. So I'm trying to figure out, is there any hand behind such reforms that's taking place?
There were no any hand behind the reforms. The government is totally responsible for the reforms. Then if we need any further assistance or funding or some whatever, we will go further with that. That's how the things works. Otherwise, we can't make plans at this time. So if we have enough budgetary from
Dr. Kithsiri,
facilities, we can continue with that.
Dr. Kithsiri, you spoke about we are focusing on tourism and we should go for this IT and we should have this history, right? At the moment we have history and IT, right? But who benefit from that subjects? At the moment, I'm talking about at the moment we have these subjects, right? Right. So
no, what I'm trying to say is that the history is required, yes, because it's a being of the countryman. You should know where I am, because wherever we go, we have proud to say that we have 2,500 years of history. If somebody asks in between what's your history and what is happening in this era, if they can't answer, that's something, right?
I agree
that
with
is for the country, mate.
Everybody should know history, that's true. What I'm asking is, now you are particularly arguing that everybody should know, everybody should have this history subject and everybody should study, right? My question is, now we have it, right? Are we really seeing the benefit of it now?
I think so, because at the moment we have not come across saying that any Sri Lankan person, I mean, I'm not talking about this generation, but not talking about they know, is my generation and probably yours, we know about something, who's Kawantisa, who's Dutgamunu, where is Sigre, what is we know. But sometimes there may be with this international school culture, we may have a little bit of a switch here and there. But what I'm trying to say is, but still being we have to have that. Even for the at least government school, we should continue that. Have it. That's the most benefit. And you ask about the tourism, what I'm trying to say is, took a small example. Say, somebody become a tourist guide. So you have to learn the history, but you don't have to learn if you know the history of the country, right? So I get a simple example. And again, IT, when you take IT and IT-enabled services, because we don't have IQ, we don't have our own products, right? We don't have our own product names like Odoo, Microsoft or something. But we do is IT services and IT-enabled services only. So basically, we have moved out from BP also. So now we are in between. We don't have anywhere. Like as Shamit correctly mentioned, we have a good two companies like WS2 and London Extraction, MIT. And all. Now they are also basically moving out from the country. Most are based in Bangalore and this thing because of the lack of technical guys. I mean, techies. No techies available anymore, freely available. If you have techies, they are going abroad. They are, brain drain.
Yeah,
so what I'm trying to is the production is required. Quality production is required and change of the curricula. So especially in IT. Every 6 months we have to relook at it.
So we know Kithsiri, always when there is something that is being brought forward, there is usually some sort of an agenda. And we're talking about big nations because Sri Lanka, if you look at our IT sector, we are almost on par in terms of coding with India. They say that we have better coders in Sri Lanka than in India. What is the attempt, in your opinion? Is there an attempt that we are trying to take one step back in our education system based on the affiliations that we have recently built upon as a country?
Yeah. Can you remember, I can remember during Hapalno before that, they were trying to get some government university to collaborate with MIT and some Californian university likewise some. But it didn't happen. I don't know the reason it didn't work out, right? What I'm trying to say is even the coding, in a small level, Python or some levels of coding required from during a school time. You have to have coding competitions. I have seen sometimes it's in between. Now I didn't see anything like that, So those one time is 5-10 years ago. Our guys were used to go for the International Olympiad. Olympiad is one of the best coding competition is happening all over the world. So one time twice or thrice we won the number 1. But now, so no one to take this up and take them out. So then we have produced a lot of good coding people.
No, so what I'm trying to understand is now Ranil Wickremesinghe was the president between 2022 and 2024. He didn't do anything.
Sorry? 2022? Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years, 2024. You can't even remember that he was the president.
I had like 2025. Very short.
Very 2 years. Then why didn't he bring in these sort of changes? Now you're talking about that he tried to bring in changes in 1981. He was education minister. He did not have a big say. But 2022 to 2024, he had a resounding majority in parliament to do this.
Yeah, that is true. But what I'm trying to say is at that time, he took the country, can't remember how the priorities are different at that time. We have to give food, you have petrol and those things. So he is to stabilize the country, stabilize the economy, right? He was really working with those IMF and take the country on track.
No, but don't you think if you had to make a change, that would have been the best time to do that? Because at that time people were accepting anything that came in, fuel prices were at an exorbitant price, went up around 450 rupees per litre.
Yeah.
We were paying that.
Yeah.
And if that was
people were actually ready for any reform, any kind of reform.
Right.
And why wasn't reforms brought in at that time?
That was not, my personal feeling is that wasn't the correct time to do education sort of reforms. But the reason is it should take little longer time, Now, at that time, during that 2 years,
there were a lot of health scams at that time. The government was brought in and all that. That was okay.
Not only that, this is not okay. I'm not saying that. That is wrong, right? That is not Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Is that the sort of reforms we want?
Ranil Wickremesinghe was the president, but government was not his. Team was in the parliament.
He was not the head of the cabinet.
He was the cabinet, true, I can understand. Yeah. But he came from somewhere else and got into the...
He's parachuter.
Yeah, of course, there's no one fact, no. So no one, at that time, no one to take the country. So he's the only person who came out to take the country up. I mean, even the other leaders, they ran away.
Dr. Mendis, you come from an academic background, right? Now, if you see Sri Lanka's education system, right, even up to now, we produce more than 80% of arts graduates, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because most of the people, the university graduates, are coming from the arts faculty, right? And then when they come, they don't find jobs, employments, right? Because either they have a general degree, even specialized degree, they don't find a job. Now he was talking about techs, producing technocrats, right? People with technical background and technology and technical education. Why did we fail to produce that kind of people in this country, whereas we have been producing easily over 80% of arts graduates?
The problem is not with arts graduates. The problem is with the structures, the corrupt order, the social, economic, political, cultural, moral order that prevented the people from accessing the facilities for a balanced education in this country. Why didn't they teach all these subjects to the people in the 25 districts, 9 provinces? Why didn't they teach? Why was this lopsided development, the Visamatavya? Why? Now, if you have failed to teach English to the large mass of people, if you fail to teach mathematics and science to the large mass of people, of course, it's a lopsided education system. We want a balanced education system. For convenience, they taught subjects which did not require infrastructure like laboratories in the provinces, in Uvavellassa, in Monaragala. They failed to do that because they wanted to preserve and protect the incompatibility of social classes. This is neo-feudal, the neo-feudal attitudes of the political leadership. They did not want equality and equity in the education system. There's nothing wrong with the arts graduates. Arts graduates, you see, have been those people who came to the universities, were equipped only to study certain subjects that they had studied for their A-levels. Without, they did not have access to any other options, right? There's nothing wrong with the arts subjects, but it was a lopsided education system.
But this is not the case now, right? This is not the case now.
What do you mean by this is not the case now?
I mean, now they have access to all other subjects, right?
No.
That's right.
Well, we are not talking about Uvavellassa. In Western Province, in Kalutara district, in Gampaha district, in Colombo district, in the vicinity of Visakha College and the leading schools, we have schools without lavatories, laboratories, libraries, a roof over the head. You see, I mean, we know are we strangers to the problems faced by the Western Province? Well, why have we neglected? We have deliberately, willfully neglected. Very clearly, it is the neo-feudal attitudes, Nava Vedavasam Vadya Kalpa, right? Okay, basically that prevented, with regard to English education, right? Solomon West Ridgeway, Dias Bandaranaike, West Ridgeway was the governor, the British governor in Ceylon at that time, right? In the presence of the British governor, the little boy was baptized, and the little boy studied at St. Thomas College. He went to Oxford University, and then he came back to Ceylon, realized that he was not to succeed the UNP, the leadership after Dissanayake. He came with the single-only act. Well, what is this? This all what I call neo-feudal attitudes. The large mass of people were deliberately and willfully denied access to English education. What prevented them from, accessing English education? Even today, now the NPP says well, they are not probably not prepared to learn lessons from countries like Singapore, where Lee Kuan Yew was also a son of an ordinary man. He went to Cambridge University. He came back, unlike this SWRD Bandaranaike. He came and he was resolved to do one thing, to enable the ordinary people of Singapore to access the education system that made him a man. Lee Kuan Yew, a proper man with, leadership qualities. He was prepared. He was prepared to share the education system that he was a beneficiary of with the ordinary people of Singapore.
Yeah, so,
and in Singapore, we have from the primary, I did my own PhD in Singapore, in the National University of Singapore. I know that from the primary school to the university, it is in English education. The mother tongue, Malay and Chinese and Tamil, predominantly the third largest community, being the Indians, predominantly Tamil population, well, they are taught their mother tongue properly, but the entire education is in the English language. And they, unlike many others, have become globally, locally and globally competitive people.
Right.
I think NPP should be learning from countries like Singapore.
Right. Nuwan, now we have a question. So, history is not just about kings and wars. It is a study of how people lived, thought, built, discovered and developed over time. It covers every part of human life. There are many aspects, but we need to understand the future demands of the educational opportunity and the job opportunities, don't you think?
Yeah, of course. Now, history and aesthetic subjects are important because imagination is the most important thing. If you are an engineer, if you are a doctor, even if you are an accountant, subject knowledge is vital. At the same time, most important thing is the imagination. That is where we need history and aesthetic subjects. So I think scientifically it has been proven. It has been proven. Now when we go to the Colombo city, you can see a lot of high-rise buildings. So when engineer is building up that, he has some sort of imagination, this should be the design of this building. So likewise, every person should have that imagination. So one thing I want to add now, I think Thanura also must discuss this inside the party because we believe they are on us, they want to do something. Now, whatever reform, whatever policy, first you have to think whether it is compatible to the system. In order to come to a conclusion, what are the key issues in this country? In our country, it has not, we can't go to that level because ITO, all these debates are there because most of these, our colleagues are living in Colombo, Colombo background. But in Sri Lanka, what are the key issues? Number one is the expenses of the education is very high now. So majority of these countries suffer. So they doesn't have access to education. That's why most of the children are deciding to go for art subjects because they don't have money to spend for these subjects. Number one. Number two, key issue is the social disparity. What is the difference between Royal College and Attakalampana School? Huge disparity. So how you sort it out this? By way of reform. Number three is this unnecessary competitiveness. So through this examination, these these scholarship examinations, unnecessary competitivity that ultimately the student, most of the students, they are depressed. So these are the main key issues that should be addressed through a policy document. So otherwise, whatever other reforms, you can sort it out. Even IT sector, as I said, even without reform, our lecturers, students were able to develop this sector. Still there are a lot of IT specialists in this Sri Lanka. So unless you address this key point, key deficiencies, whatever reforms is ineffective. I think NPP is not a socialist or communist government. No. They are now what is their way of handling this is the pragmatism. They are totally based on pragmatism. So at least there must be a pragmatic approach regarding these education reforms, what they are unable to do.
Right. So just a quick question. Yeah. Thanura, that's a very good point that Nuwan Bopage spoke about a pragmatic approach. Now today, addressing the Niravia Govipala Yatra program, the Minister of Livestock said, that's KD Lalkanta said, has urged unemployed graduates to consider cattle farming instead of staging street protests demanding public sector jobs. Now, we are talking about IT, we are talking about AI. Your minister is saying unemployed graduates have to rear 10 cows so that it's going to add to the development of the state. That's the attitude of the government.
Actually,
That's true. Of course,
like
history is not needed.
No, that comes like this. We are in an urge to develop the agriculture and the livestock to a very developed state. That's with that's with an inspiration. We should make a person or a younger one or unemployed young person. This country should be someone can think to select that kind of particular field. Like if you think like this, who will think to be a farmer in Sri Lanka? So our vision is to a younger one or young unemployed kid or unemployed one or well educated one. We need to make a day when a well educated person is like to think to be a farmer or something like that in Sri Lanka. It comes with a vision, it's not just words or something like that. So that is the problem. So we have to we can't separate the education or anything from other things. We have to think about the overall status of the country. That's why we are developing the agriculture field, and that's why we are developing the infrastructures, roads. That's why we are developing many other areas. In all together, we have to be in a vision like that.
But Thanura,
that's what I think. That's what Minister
Thanura
tried to say.
Yeah, asking unemployed graduates to take up, cattle breeding. You basically, push them for a kind of a traditional jobs rather than modernizing it, using the technology, right, bringing in new technologies, right. So
it doesn't say that without any technology we are proposing.
I mean, it's basically you need to do that, right. Now I have two other questions from you. One is, now I think Nuwan Bopage made a valid point on this imagination and creativity, right. Now most of our people, the output from the schools and universities, they need this creativity and entrepreneurship, which is lacking, right. What is are these two, both creativity and entrepreneurship, are these basically included in the reform, and where?
Yes, of course, that's what we talk about, because there's a problem with evaluation methodology in Sri Lanka. We all focused on exams and we pressure the students, and even developing a kid, the O-level exam is killing the intentions of a kid. I like that today. So it should be changed. That's what we talked. So Nuwan is also right. So we have to be focused to create more creative and more sensitive person. Otherwise,
but do you say there is no exams in this reform?
No. There are exams for some set of subjects, and also we consider how much time credit system. It's not a university
assignments, is it?
Based on assignments, activities, the time you took to study the subject.
So it's like in the university GPA system.
It's not exactly university GPA. There are some concept like school-based.
Similar to GPA.
Similar to GPA, but this is a school point system, a school credit system. So let's say if a student is failed in the current system, no one values that. Even there are students who fail different subjects. I think there are 9 fails or something like that in Sri Lanka. So let's say history. So he studied history, he stayed at the classroom, he knows something, but he's failed. So what is the value of his time and everything? Is vanished with a letter or something like that.
Student Kris A student like this.
A student like this.
Just like the government.
No. It's, so that's the point of view we have to think like.
It's like
So-
Kris, I just want to understand now. Now, just this cattle matter that was brought in by KD Lal Kant now. Is
I need
this
to
what
find
the
that.
government trying to do? Because you can't, if
No, that is.
there are 30,000
No.
graduates that come out of the university system every year in Sri Lanka.
More than 30,000, then 42,000.
Yeah, but approximately, let's say 30,000 for calculation purposes, and then if there are 10 cattle to be bred in by these 30,000, it's coming up to 60,000 acres of land that is needed. Then there comes a point: who is going to give them land? So 60,000 into
Shami,
into 5 years is quite a.
don't go on that math so far. Tell me, now the government spent money and counted the monkeys. Na? What's the outcome of the monkey count? As a nation, what have we achieved? Where have we gone? With the monkey count, where have we gone? I don't know what it is about. So that is the time that and energy that has been wasted. National assets been wasted. So there is so many things. I think more like looking at educational reforms, the government themselves should focus on reforming themselves. We saw how a very senior minister in the government goes to international forum, addresses the nation, and it became a laughing matter for us. We went on global news. Internationally we were laughed at by a statement that was made by the government saying that the monkey was a cause of a national blackout. So reform should come in not through, not only education, the government should reform within themselves.
You have forgotten, you have a very short memory, Kris. We were a country that our finance minister said that Kaputas hit the plane.
That was a blunder in the tongue. We all make mistakes like that.
Don't come to that point, because we have had
No,
finance ministers like that.
I have to admit to that point, not Kaputas, right?
No.
I think we should not.
Kris,
We should not. We should not name
we should
and
not
shame
go to that
people.
level, because you know why?
No,
When
it's
you
not
point
that-
the finger at
See, Shamir.
someone, there are 4 fingers pointed at you.
No,
Don't forget that. No, you have a short memory. I'm trying to drive it.
Kris,
No, no.
Kris,
Yes.
language should not be a barrier, right? Language is, tool of communication, right? So, I mean,
There
Sri Lankan officials
must
should.
be a slip of the tongue, but that
Yeah.
also made headlines.
Yeah.
It made
you were in the
headlines.
Aragala area, or
It
your
was-
party was able to go at that time. You would have heard that the slogan being said over and over again.
Yeah.
That was made global headline at that time.
Oh, don't
I
worry.
think Nuwan and them would know.
This is what I am trying to say is this unemployed graduates, there are 34, 40,000 there. Can we take a portion of them, give a crash course 6 months or 1 year, and convert them to the other areas we are lacking the graduates, like IT? So that's the thing government think about. So because those are brainy students who got through their A-levels.
No, but I have to tell you, Kithsiri, now, we have an aesthetic university, which is located in Colombo. And there are approximately around 400 to 1,000 students who graduate. Honestly, to find them a job,
You are referring to this Pali University?
yes,
Yeah, okay.
finding jobs for these students is a very difficult task, and they have done their majors probably in dancing, probably they have done their majors in singing. It's very difficult. It's not that all the 1,000 students are going to be singers one day. It's not going to be all 1,000
this
students
is-
going
This
to
is
be
what I told you, because
dancers.
I have come across one of the best graphic designers are from that university.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I'm telling. They have skills.
Some creativity has to be
Exactly.
instilled,
Creative. So we have to sharpen it up.
No,
So
I
that's
think
why I'm trying to
Dr. Kithsiri, that the issue in Sri Lanka is they don't have the opportunity. Now, if you go to UK or US, even a small musician or drummer, they will earn the same money a doctor earns because they have the opportunity. But it's not the same in Sri Lanka. Right? They are ready to learn something that they like, but they don't have the opportunity. Right?
So those graduates are not to be blamed.
Exactly. So we need to change the
Bank of
system.
structures.
So just to ask from Thanura, is this change or is this issue addressed in the new reform?
Yeah, it's kind of a change that we have to let it grow. Otherwise, we can't forcefully make a
It's about
person like
creating
that.
opportunities for
Yeah,
these
yeah.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
How are
There
you
are a
going to
lot
do that?
So skills. So we are more focused with the skills in these reforms. So no matter whether you are going to be a doctor or engineer, there are some set of skills that you can further learn. So there are some selection criteria. If you are doing STEM subjects, even you can select some. You have to select a subject from skills and values and like that. So because we have made students who doesn't know how to do a small repair at house. So likewise, if you think about creativity things also, it's like at this moment, if you select an area for education, other areas are closed. You're in a different territory. So in this education reforms, it doesn't stay like that. You can major in one subject, but it opens more doors for your creativity or to improve your skills. It has some structure like that. You can select subjects according to that way.
The other issue we have is like, say, though we have a strong, Z generation in this country, we also have a increasing, aging population, right? Unfortunately. Now, what is the strategy in this reform to retain this, younger generation or the students without they going out of the country or, stop the brain drain?
It's not only a problem with education, it's also a problem with economical. So we have to develop our economy that is suitable to absorb the output of the education. These problems are not single side problems or individual problems. What we are talking about a country. So the students or the citizens that we made out from the education system, the economy should be sufficient enough to absorb them. Otherwise, no one can stop their going fly away the country or to abroad.
So just to understand now, Kris says something very interesting about this monkey statistics.
I was going to address that. So very carefully listen this. Not any previous government even tried to solve this problem. So at least now we have information. So now we are in the information era.
Now the question was, Thanura, what have you all done with these statistics? You all spent approximately 80 million.
That's what I am saying. To formulate the solution, we are in like a blank state. We don't know where or how many of these animals are there. What is the best solution? There are some the people, the animal lovers and environmentalists, they are talking many things, but no one has a solution. So what we think is we should need correct figures, otherwise we can't analyze. That's why we did the
now we have correct figures in terms of the wild elephants in Sri Lanka. But
there's a concern also. We have to do that also. So
Nothing, no?
at least now we have some set of information about monkeys, and spread candy is the highest ranked in that list. So today we had
for an example, the report says that there are 4.2 million peacocks.
Yeah, of course, not only monkeys.
Yeah, but
peacocks and some squirrels.
So based on one of the parliamentarian statements, if there are 4.2 million peacocks in Sri Lanka, when you go out of Ratmalana studios, you see a few peacocks. Because
it's not like that. So but the concentration is not like that. So how a peacock can survive here? I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Who said that?
Are there so many peacocks in Sri Lanka? 4.2 million.
It's quite correct. Yeah, those statistics are.
No, because we saw the manner in which how this statistics was being taken by the minister in charge. He was taking a phone out and saying count.
But he's counted, but this is done with most
But that's not the
Yeah.
proper statistics, no?
no. This is a very standard way. We did it in a very technical way. There are a lot of different
No, but what is going to
methods
happen to these monkeys now?
Yeah, now that is the next question. Now we have some information, so we have to formulate a solution. Even there are no any regulative body or institute to address this
If
issue.
you look
So
at
we
it,
have,
there are only 12 vets in the entire country.
yeah, then we have
attached to
to
the wildlife department.
we have to make a new some kind of institute
So this
for
is-
this
this is the
wildlife
same-
management.
this is the same
thing
We
somewhere
don't
that's
have a
gonna happen
wildlife
with
education reform.
institute. So
Thanura, I
that is
remember-
what
This is the
we are
same-
going
the
to do.
same
We
thing that
have
will
to
happen.
create entire solutions for some problems, and the most important thing, these are not problems. The issues untreated became problems. Untreated in previous government became no
But
crisis.
the-
We are treating
the
the
problems
crisis
also
now.
have not been solved out and out. Say
Yeah,
the-
that's
the
not a
rice-
simple
the rice
problem. It's a
issue.
crisis, no.
the rice problem.
It's
That plus 150.
There is a
many
medicine-
things in Sri
medicine
Lanka are
shortage.
not just problems. They are
Yeah.
crises because
Dr.
of
Mendis, there are a lot of
untreated,
issues that have not been looked
untreated
at.
problems for long term.
A government should have necessarily a sense of priorities. In the context of this monkey count, obviously there are major problems confronted by the people. Let's say the man-elephant conflict. This is a huge issue that needs to be sorted out, you see, once and for all, through meaningful initiatives. But you know, the monkey count was not the priority. There's so many issues. If that is the case,
You
You
they
can't
should
say
have
like
counted
that.
so
You
many
need to
other
go to a
animals.
village.
Right? What is
You
the
can't
earthly
say like
use?
No, no, so
What-
what-
By the way,
what
how many
is
monkeys
the...
we have?
Huh?
By the way, how many monkeys we have?
Around 4 million or something.
4 million. Peacocks also 4 million.
40 million.
Huh?
Sorry, 4 millions. Peacocks, 2 million.
Peacocks 2
No, no,
million.
peacocks 4.2 million.
4.2.
And the monkeys? No idea.
I think it's around the
Similar.
same.
No, it can't
I
be.
don't
It's
remember
more
the
than that.
exact figure.
This is
Now,
one
Thanura,
clarification.
now
Yeah.
last
Yeah,
but-
One just clarification now, since Thanura is there, because now this debate is now going on regarding the reforms.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I just want to clarify now, according to these reforms, proposed reforms, that scholarship exam will not be there anymore. Number one. So, scholarship exam is emanated out of issue that the government was unable to provide equal facilities to all the schools. If they are going to completely deviate from that examination thing, then of course you have to, within very short span of time, you have to uplift the facilities of the schools. But the budget allocation is very low still, 1.86. These are the things that you have to be mindful. Number two is actually now regarding these, you are suggesting cluster school system. That is what suggested by Upalisedara proposals. Convert around 105,000 schools to national schools.
That we start.
Then there are clusters through that run the system. Then of course once again you have to uplift facilities for more than 1,000 national schools. But budget allocation is still not there.
That's a
So-
good point. No.
So now actually Thanura said it's good, they have a plan. So if there's a plan, there must be explanation for this, because I think you all fought for asking 6% allocation for education that time. I think JP was also there. But on the other hand, now they are within the IMF agenda. So IMF never allows to allocate that much of amount for education, because that is their strategy. So these kind of practical issues. Otherwise, there is a confusion like now, as you said, Minister Lalkantha, on one side he said the graduates should do things like that. If you are going for reforms like that, we need more 60,000 graduates as teachers. So they have jobs. So same minister say, no, we are not here to give jobs for you.
He has said to look for
use
jobs
capital.
to-
He's the agriculture
So,
minister, so he's
all
his
these no,
suggestion.
but you are a government. There must be a holistic idea about the
Yeah, of course.
holistic idea. So
Ad hoc idea.
so these kind of confusions you have to iron out.
ad hoc situations that happen.
So I think you have to be
No,
mindful about that.
but one is trying to
We are
understand
not
is
stopping scholarship
Lal
at this
Kantha's statement the policy of the government?
It's like this, time to time, some inspiration, ideas or suggestions can put to the society will decide it. It's not a compulsory thing. So we can say, if there are unemployed people, so you can think about that. We will help. He will help as the agriculture minister.
So the point that
it
was
is
brought
not
in, 1.86% of the GDP has been allocated for education, whereas the JP fought for 6%.
Yeah.
Why wasn't this 1.86% increased to 6% if you are so serious about education reforms?
In our budgetary allocations, we have given the more priority to the education sector, but the problem is, in top of all of these things, we are recovering from a economical crisis.
But 1.86% is not a reflection of that, no?
Yeah,
That's
we are
even minimum than what
we are in a plan to increase that. But we are
Mahinda
not
Rajapaksa allocated.
now we are not in 6%, but we have to go for that way to by empowering the economy as well as, otherwise we can't do that.
Because today in Parliament, one of the UNP members said that 50 million rupees have been spent on taking the Sri Lankan Airlines plane around the country that was brought. So, and then he asked, do you think or do you feel that we are
50
babies? That's what he said, I don't know.
So the planes have somehow come to Sri Lanka when it is on the way. It's not a new.
No, but it didn't happen like that.
bypass route.
Yeah.
That's not the standard route.
Yeah.
That was like some
There's
inspiration or
first
something like that.
That's
They have
a minor
planned
thing.
marketing.
The embarrassment that our country faced on the 30th of May, the Chinese commerce minister, 29th met the president, His Excellency the President, 30th. The Chinese embassy hosted him and another 115 Chinese top businessmen who came to the country to invest at a very prominent hotel in Colombo. It was all paid by the Chinese government. And who ends up as the representative? The Labour Minister. When this is on commerce and industry, where Sri Lanka is looking at investors, when they fly down with the investors to the country, the Chinese Commerce Minister flies down to Sri Lanka, the government can't send the relevant respective ministers to attend the function. So like this is where reforms are one thing. We are facing major problems. There is a Chinese-owned construction company, a government-owned construction company, that has done from Paliagoda up to Port City the flyover. That company, there has been 4 demurrages that have been claimed, and $6 million US is what they have deducted. Due to this factor, this company, the Chinese government-owned company, has written to His Excellency the President and also to the minister in charge. Up to date, there has not been a response through the ambassador. So this is going to lead the country to go into arbitration in Singapore courts. So
this cannot be independently verified. I hope you can take full responsibility.
I will take responsibility. I can show you the letters also that were sent to the minister. I have no problem in showing that.
So there was another issue on this, on a similar vein, where the Adani Group had written to Sri Lanka claiming some of money.
$1.5 million. $1.5 million.
Wind
power project.
Yeah, because our intention is to reduce the unit cost of the electricity generation, renewable energy, which they cannot afford for that. So that's their decision.
So how are you going to do
But
that?
Adani can also come with... No, it's not like that.
Tell me one FDI that you have bought into the country.
Even BOI posted yesterday,
the highest
500 million.
Highest in the
last
something.
So what's the total FDIs you have bought?
During past few months, only BOI projects are over 500 million USDs.
In the last?
6 months.
Last 6 months.
What's the forecast for a year, according to a manifest? $4.5 billion.
Yeah.
So how are you going to achieve that within 8 months? Within 8 months, if you all have only bought in 500 million
Chris,
US dollars.
It's only from the BOI side.
Chinese
it's not the all.
That's including the Chinese Sinopec.
Chinese Sinopec was bought in by whom?
But
they signed the agreement.
The investment hasn't come yet.
The investment, but who bought it? All these investments not bought in by
something to clear out.
I'm a little bit surprised when Kris is saying all this. You know why? Because during Their government in power, you all paid 6.9 million to the Chinese fertilizer company for fertilizer that we never saw.
Never got.
This is not that much simple. First, we have to restructure the debts with IMF.
You want to answer that question, Kris?
No, so there was something wrong in it, and that was addressed.
No, sometimes I tend to think that you forget very fast.
No, what I'm saying is, this is government to government, Shamir.
This is also government to government only.
But Chinese government to government?
The fertilizer. If not, they said that they will blacklist our banks. You can't remember.
Yeah, so that will happen to us again.
So you all did one time. You all want this government also do it second
This government comes into power saying, going through our problems. They pointed out each government's mistakes. You know,
the situation
based
is
on allegations that they came up with.
A country that has halted all the ongoing operations and the developments or roads and the constructions were halted. So the thing is, it's okay. We finalize the IMF conditions and agreements. Then after that, it's not the whole scenario. We have to rediscuss with individual countries. Once we restructure the affairs with that individual countries, then only the investors will come. It doesn't work like
does that mean Thanura,
or something like that?
Does that mean Thanura, you have a plan?
Yeah, we have a plan.
No, you have a plan after you basically finish the IMF deal.
Yeah,
you have a plan. Do you have a different plan? Because now what you say is, because of the IMF deal or IMF bailout package, you can't do many things, right?
There are some concerns.
Yeah. So do you say that you will change the policies after?
You mean if there is no IMF agreement or something like that?
Would you say that?
It's a normal thing. No? So if we don't have any any agreement with like that, we can decide more possibilities there.
The Labour Minister.
Otherwise, we have to cooperate.
In 2018, New York Times said that the Chinese port authority had given 7.6 million to Mahinda Rajapaksa's election bid. Probably that is why the Labour Minister went.
Oh. No, that's the check that they saw. No? The president also had. That's the check. He said, I have it with the numbers, no? So bring it out.
Yeah, that's $7.6 million US.
Yeah, so that they have the check numbers also. Why don't they expose it, put it out and take action on it?
Right.
And this 500 million came into the port city. No? That 500 million?
No, it's from BOI.
But for the
port city, there are 4 projects now.
So that's we had to break the Seagate Rock also to build the port city according to
that. Good that Thamira pointed out that now port city. Now there are 4 gazette notifications dated 14th July 2025, where the government says 4 companies are being facilitated. CFC Colombo, Ceylon Real Estate. That is, I think, this LOLC group, and there are ICC Port City, 4 companies. Now, so throughout what we argue, there's a myth regarding this direct investment. What happened to country now? By way of this gazette notification, President Dissanayake giving exemption for plenty of laws, acts, Inland Revenue Act, Value Added Tax Act, Finance Act, Excise Act, Customs Ordinance. So one of the biggest exemption for all the taxations. At the same time, most important thing is termination of Employment Act. Now whoever works there, they have no rights under the labor laws. So through this gazette notification, these kind of massive exemptions have been given. What we want to raise, so there is no taxation. We can't gain taxation from them. So that is what happened throughout the history. Even now, I personally know the main legal officer of Hambantota Harbour recently he resigned because they came as direct investment and unfair labor practices, and they are giving prominence to their Chinese companies, and nothing can be gained to the country, no benefits to the country. So they take everything and go. Now this is coming under the Port City Act. Within that area, they can do whatever they want, because that area is not governed by the Sri Lankan law. That is a law brought by this Rajapaksa regime for the giving benefits to these kind of global capital without getting anything to the country. The thing is, NPPs continued now this gazette notification under Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act. When it was passed, JVP went to court challenging that because there's no benefit to the country. This is only for them to play out one of the areas of the country. So they continue to do same thing. This kind of massive exemption, I told there are around 20 acts, Inland Revenue, including Revenue Act. So people didn't expect these kind of practices from NPP. So we know about the SLPP, so nothing to talk about them, no. So at least now they got some kind of breathing space to come to this kind of platforms. Otherwise they were unable to come here. That breathing space also given by the NPP now. Because during the last election, how this nationalist group, their vote base was increased because of these practices of NPP. So we firmly believe we should not give any breathing space to parties like SLPP. They ruin the country. They ruin the country. So once you do the same things what they did, using their own acts, this Port City Act they brought, other acts. So they will take a breathing space, and that is very dangerous. That's an alarming situation.
So it's a very serious allegation level that the SLPP. Kris, you want to respond or you want to?
I think one must be heartbroken in a way because they were the authors or whatever behind this Aragale, which they also advocated for so many things. So it was actually their hard work which the NPP stole off them and took away. So these allegations, Shamir, can be thrown at us. But don't forget, from winning a war to bringing this country up to developing this country to a standard where no government in history has done. So the achievements that we have done as a government, yes, there are allegations. I won't say no. There are corruption allegations. There are places where we went wrong. Yes, we do agree that there are places where we went wrong.
Where there was corruption.
Some places of allegations of corruption, but then it's open to the government to find out whom and the perpetrators behind that, to put them behind bars.
That development comes at the expense of a huge debt, followed by the sovereign default, right?
Huge, no, but then see where you want to go back 20 years, okay, and stand where the country was, or just now look as to how every industry has expanded, how many opportunities that have come.
So I always ask this question, Kris. Tell me, what is the Nelum Kulun doing? $400 million US dollars?
$80 million US dollars.
$400 million US dollars.
400.
300 fixtures.
350, very precise.
So no, that was meant.
80 million was the actual cost. All that were commissions.
That is how you interpret it. No, I just want to
figure out from you.
Because you were the person who made an allegation saying that Mahinda Rajapaksa has a 20 million rupee leak in his house. And I could have challenged you on that. No, that's what I'm asking you, sir.
So 270 million disappeared.
Maybe in the purview context. I just no. So that was it was the hub for broadcast, but there were delays by at the rate we are continuing. So it was the main hub for transmission. So that still can be implemented, but
why do we need a main hub for transmission?
Why do you can, without having so many sub-towers, when you can run off one centrally?
So that is going to provide right throughout the.
It was part of the digitization process, Amir. From 2G to 3G to where this country has come so forward. That was one of the main.
Now, if we have not used it, we have to be backwards, no? Have we gone backwards?
Having not used it is because of the changes of government and slowing it down. But had we had this thing to continue, we would have done that. The data storage in Hambantota, had we had the time, more time, we would have expanded it for data farming, data harvesting. So these are things that the government had in mind. It was not just a tower and then this thing. That communicated to the data storages. It was the data harvesting. So all that was part of a part.
So what about this Hambantota Convention Center? That's also data harvesting.
Well,
Hammadran Convention Center?
No, that was done for a purpose at that time. But then, of course, again, as soon as it was completed, Shamir, the government changed, and they even used the airport. So it was developed to be a next city. There's an airport, there's a port, the convention center.
It's not easy, no, Kris, when one finger is pointed.
No, I'm not saying it's it's the inability of a government, existing government, to make use of those facilities.
So whatever you all build, they have to use it. Whatever you all build.
No, you have to commercialize it. It has been built. Commercialize it.
Now tell me, how can you commercialize something which is in nowhere, like nowhere land?
It's 1.5 hours. There's highway access. It's 1.5 hours from Colombo, or maybe 2 hours from Colombo.
Have you gone on the highway lane?
Yes, I have been on the highway.
Every time you go, you must be thinking, how much of money was spent on this and how much was robbed?
No.
You don't feel it?
I don't. I don't
Is
feel
it because
at
it's
all.
your party?
Because Shamir, you also use it.
No, I don't use.
You don't use it
No,
at
I
all?
don't use it at
You
all.
never used it the
Never
highway?
used it.
Not even when you go to the airport?
No. I have never
My
used it.
gosh, Shamir, you are such a wonderful person.
Yeah, I am.
Fantastic. Proud to have a journalist like you.
Anyway, so I want to wrap up things. Let's start off with Nuwan Bopage on his thoughts on what is the way forward for Sri Lanka in terms of reforms, especially in the education sector.
Yeah, of course. Now, right now, that dialogue, the discussion is there regarding the education reforms. At the same time, from the very beginning of this government, there are certain contradictions regarding the reforms. For instance, before they come to power, what they said, they are willing to provide employments for graduates. After they came to power, they completely deviated from that. At the same time, before they get power, what they said, they are not going to go any agreements with India or any other imperial countries which are detrimental to the country. After they came to power, overnight they signed 7 agreements with India, concealing the content. At the same time, what they said prior to they get the power, what they said, the IMF reforms are actually unfavorable to the society, so they are going to immediately change it. But subsequently now they are going with that. So policies are concerned, there are certain contradictions. So immediately you have to get out from these contradictions. You have to give some sort of direction to the society. Whatever policy, there must be a mechanism to do that. Education is concerned, now we are discussing about education policy, to where that you are going to steer the country. So what is the final outcome of these things, and how to address the main issues of the society as far as the education is concerned. So these kind of policy document, policy plan, agenda, you must come up with like that. Otherwise, what we are saying now, this completely ruin the people's aspiration. So 2024 people's mandate is some sort of progressive mandate. So actually they defeated SLPP kind of political parties, HJB kind of political parties. What the government, the people gave that indication, now mandate is with you. We have given you one of the biggest mandate in society, so honor that, to do certain things. But up to now, what we could see, education policies is also the same thing that continued by the previous political parties, previous government. The economy is concerned, same policies that carried out by Ranil Wickremesinghe and IMF. So we need that change, we are demanding for that, but that's why we are inviting people. You have a duty to do, you can't be just silent, wait and see, because in order to get something out of this government, in order to accomplish your aspiration, so you have to fight together. People's power is the most important thing. Already the government has reversed certain things detrimental to the people because of the people's power. As People Struggle Alliance, we always stand for that. So let's fight together in order to get maximum out of this government. At the same time, not to give any room to previous horrible, uncouth political parties like SLPP and other parties.
All right. Kris.
Well, starting off by uncouth, Shamir, I don't want to go back to the 9th of May, 2 years back, and remind as to how MPs were murdered on the road, houses were burnt, we as politicians could not, listen, because it was all complete death threats. There are mobs coming into our houses, and all caused by the guise of, by the disguise of the Aragale. So uncouthness comes from the people who, point fingers at them. So I don't want to emphasize on that because that's been dark days in our lives. As human beings, I don't think anyone deserves to go through that, to be just murdered on the road while you're going so as for the situation now, Shamir, you can see even yesterday in Parliament and today also we saw how our leader Namal Rajapaksa is been recognized now by so many political wings, and even journalists now are accepting him, and they said that his political maturity has come up and he is doing...
Journalists?
In fact, he's on one of your shows yesterday.
No, it's very subjective.
It's very subjective.
No, anyway, I'll leave it at that, but I don't think you should generalize it, saying he's mature and all that. It's
his
up to you to say
matureness.
it. Your political party has all the right to say it, but don't say journalists are of the opinion. I usually don't interrupt Kris in the last round, so don't let me interrupt by saying things that are generalized.
That is your biasness.
No, I'm just saying, don't say... You said one journalist said it would be okay now.
Yeah,
there are two journalists here.
That is your political bias. My political bias and journalists who support us,
I can mention.
Yes,
unbiased journalists won't have that.
No, you all have biasnesses as well.
I don't think.
The biasness of this,
Kris, that's very subjective. That's very subjective. But I don't think you should generalize saying.
Journalist. I'm not generalizing. I'm saying generalize. I'm not mentioning. I'm not generalizing. I'm just saying journalist.
Journalist. One journalist.
Okay. No, I just said on a particular show of yours. But then I'm just what I mentioned is journalist as per se, saying that there is political maturity in him. So I have the right to say that because I'm not mentioning a media channel. I'm not mentioning a particular journalist's name. Okay. So with that coming forward, I think the progressiveness that we've built up. Okay, we've came down to ground zero, and now we are building ourselves up as a political party, going very strong, growing very strong. Mainly because of the government's failure to deliver economic relief, and they're bringing down the cost of living. The government this government they came up with so many things that, agriculture, how they're going to bring in reforms, how they're going to help the farmers. The farmers now don't have their urea and, the fertilizer that they require. And the other thing that we see in the existing system is more than the government it's not them being a failure. It's a very weak legislative that we have. We have 159 members who are representing the government who have zero experience on how to govern the country. So that is, I guess, one of the main reasons what this delays in moving forward for the country. So that and the drift between their political ideology of two sides has also led this country to this situation. So we see when one minister says something, it's criticized by the other. So there is this tug of war that's going on, which the people at the end of the day are suffering. We became a country that was importing salt. We've gone to next levels of doing things. So I know as a common opposition, all of us, the people are getting fed up, and all of us are moving forward very stably. And this government will not be able to continue at the rate they're going. So time will give us the actual truth that will come out.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
Kris. I now move my attention towards Dr. Kithsiri Manchanayake.
Right. I mean, now at the last I would like to mention that so many things we have discussed, and out of this discussion I have seen that some people are saying that NPP is doing the same thing what Ranil was doing. So probably NPP has maybe not realized during the political campaigns during the stage that what UNP or the Ranil Wickremesinghe doing is correct. But now they have come to power and they are doing the same thing. That means I really appreciate what we are doing. That means Ranil Wickremesinghe was doing the correct thing for the country. And when you come to the reforms, reforms of this, we wanted to get good, as Dr. mentioned, good curriculum to the country. Not only that, I can't remember, somebody is talking about, you are talking about, we have to develop some soft skills, because the most of the thing is in our education system, we are lacking the development of soft skills. So NPP government really look into that area, also developing even the technical stuff, technical and other things. Top of that, we have to give at least 30-40% attention to the developing of all the soft skills of the people. And end of the day, what we are looking for is to produce a person with meritocracy, pragmatism and honest, that which we don't have. But in Singapore, main thing is, Lee Kuan Yew, and they say that my team is MPH. We are full of people of meritocracy, pragmatism and honest. I don't take any other person to my government or to rule the country. So likewise, if one fine day in Sri Lankan president, whoever in a 2 years or 5 years or 10 years time can say, my cabinet is MPH or my team is MPH. So that's what we are looking for. So we wanted to have a education reform to say that within next year. So we urge and we request to NPP government to look into those things, get the advice not only from your bunch, get the other people who are in the industry, in the education system, to get into the reforms, right? Rather than taking few people, few bunch together and take their views only, that is not going to work. So that's my last. So as UNP, we don't want to topple the government or we want to attack anything. We want to see the correct thing is happening. So I feel that now they are same practicing what Ranil Wickremesinghe do. So go ahead and see whether after 5 years we'll re-evaluate and see what's happening. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. I now move attention towards Dr. Mahim Mendis.
We have been spending a lot of time on education reforms. Education reforms very clearly needs a proper, refined intellectual basis. All what we want to tell this government, specifically Honorable Prime Minister, Minister of Education, is that she cannot be doing educational reforms in the way some of her cabinet colleagues do monkey count and distribute cattle, you see, as solutions. She needs to be accountable to the parliament and to the people, to the stakeholders of the education sector. Right now, we are talking about education reforms without a proper document. The leader of the opposition had to remind this government today that there needs to be a proper document. Without a proper document that is even known to the parliament, how can we have education reforms? We are responding to bits and pieces coming from the media and from a PowerPoint presentation and all that. Transparency and accountability are vital factors expected from a new regime. The NPP should know how to learn lessons. If they called 75 years of irresponsible governance, they should be a better example. I want to personally remind the Honorable Minister of Education, as the media spokesman from 2010 to 2013, when we were fighting together and going on processions for 6% GDP, were we, I'm asking Honorable Harini Amarasuriya, were we demanding going on the procession from the Golf Fort to Hyde Park, when and if you can let the government implement 6% GDP? Or did we say urgently we need 6% GDP? Today Harini Amarasuriya is telling the parliament and the people, no, we will do this in phases. That is what all the government said. We don't want Harini Amarasuriya to be the Minister of Higher Education and telling the academics with whom she went on procession that 6% GDP can be implemented, when they are in a position to do so and all that. With regard to history is beyond tourism and all that what we are talking about. We are talking about, she's a sociologist, I'm also a PhD in sociology. We are talking about a country with a people with a proper understanding of evolutionary process of development of Sri Lankan society in social, economic, political, cultural and moral sectors of life. A people without history is a rootless people. That is why the United States of America ensures that all university students also learn history and pass history and American government before they study physics or whatever subject, become medical doctors or whatever. They need to know how to be proper citizens, well rooted. English education, I'm telling Harini Amarasuriya, the minister, she cannot make the mistakes done by SWRD Bandaranayake. He went to St. Thomas College, Harini Amarasuriya went to Bishop's College. The education that she received from that wonderful school, Bishop's College, need to be given to the people of this country. Let the people of this country be taught proper English. That is why she has become now the Minister of Education. Let there be justice, social
Dr.
justice.
Mendis, let's not go for
equity,
personal
equality.
remarks because it's very
No,
important.
this
not
is
to
just an
stick to
objective.
that, yeah.
This is just an objective remark.
Yeah.
Let the minister ensure that the education she received from her own school be given to the ordinary people. It's not a personal remark. It is in the common good, for the common good of the people, that I remind her.
Thanks a lot to Dr. Mendis. Thanura, your
Yeah, of
closing
course,
remarks.
I think we don't have experience and practice to rob the country, but we have the courage and the skills to rebuild the country, which has put by the previous government to a very sad situation. So the thing is, there were so many governments, but no one was able to bring discussions about reforms up to this level, at least. But we are in a phase. We have the courage, and we have the necessity. We have the need to do these reforms, to encourage the citizens and to make a citizen to face the challenges in the 21st century and beyond. So as the government, with our 24 ministries, not like in previous governments, we are all working in a very well organized and in a same strategy and to a same target to eliminate the rural poverty of Sri Lanka and to digitalize the government services, and also slowly change the attitudes of the people to make the Sri Lanka a better country. So that's what we think.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, Thanura Dissanayake from the NPP. Thanks a lot to Dr. Mahim Mendis for joining us this evening on Face the Nation. Dr. Kithsiri Manchanayake from the United National Party. Kris Balthazaar from the SLPP, as well as Attorney at Law Nuwan Bopage from the People's Struggle Alliance. They always say, Nuwan and Kris, education is the key platform. When you fight, you beg to disagree and agree to the thoughts. We respect all your thoughts and comments in the show. Thank you very much for joining us this evening as well. Thank you very much, Shihar, for joining us this evening on the show. I leave you tonight with a quote, as I always do. Education is the best economic policy there is. Henceforth, the government has to be made cognizant about what is required for the country, thinking about the future prospects of our resplendent nation. Take care and good night.